Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sustainapreneur Podcast, Episode 18, where we're going to discuss the ethical dilemma behind creating great wealth the old-fashioned way and eventually becoming a philanthropist versus doing what's right now and foregoing great wealth by choosing a positive impact today. It's all coming at you here, so stick around. Welcome back to another episode of Sustainapreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability. We want to educate and motivate sustainapreneurs by discussing important topics, debating different perspectives, and by showcasing those of you out there who are doing it right now. I'm your host, Nate Hansen, and we're glad to have you with us. So let's get started. Everyone knows Bill Gates and how he became the richest man in the world by inventing the PC and a lot of the other software like Windows and such. And he built an empire from it. But even fewer know him as the philanthropist who started one of the most successful charities in the world, also known as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It has done more good for some of the people in the world today than I'd say some governments have even done for its own people. You know, it's hard to dispute all of the great things that he's done. And I, along with many others, commend him greatly on this. But just consider for a moment, even though Bill has given so much, what kind of problems did he create in his path in order to have such a positive impact? So, let me start with this. If you're not already aware of the e-waste problem that we have, I'll bring it up to speed. Most high-tech electronics like your smartphone, laptops, desktop computers, they're some of the most toxic things that we can introduce into a landfill. The leachate alone from one smartphone submerged in water for an hour is enough to make you, each and every one of you, very sick. And with an entire planet's worth of this stuff, it's enough to make every landfill in the world a gigantic contamination site. But we've already figured that problem out already, haven't we? We just throw all of our electronics in the e-waste recycling kiosks, right? Well, not exactly. The most common practice in the e-waste process is to ship everything overseas to impoverished nations where they pile it all up in a dump, and then the local citizens pick through it and either burn it or run it through some kind of an acid solution to pull out some of the more valuable metals so that they can turn around and sell it for a few measly bucks to feed their families for the day. Then they go out the very next day and do it all over again. And what's left are some highly toxic living conditions, skin diseases, cancers, respiratory problems. And so to put it mildly, it wreaks havoc on these impoverished nations and the people who are being exploited to do the dirty work. And so the dilemma for this episode is this. Is it okay to first focus on making as much money as you possibly can at first, and then use the money you've made to then have a bigger impact on society and the environment? Okay, so I'm going to tell you right off the bat, and I'm sure many of you will agree with me, that the answer, at least for me, is no. But for argument's sake, let's say Bill didn't know that he was creating such a huge problem, which I'm sure he didn't. Would he have still done it knowing that he would be the catalyst for such a huge global problem? Knowing that he has made such an enormous positive impact on the world now, would the world have been better off if he had not done it at all? Or would someone else have invented the PC in his place and been less giving than he, after accumulating such a great amount of wealth? Is it better that he did it and not someone else like Rupert Murdoch, who really could care less about philanthropy and who has been more like a modern-day Scrooge than really anyone else out there. Some of these questions are too difficult to answer without getting into an even deeper philosophical debate about fate or free will. But I'm going to spare you that, seeing as a lot of you sustainapreneurs these days are among the millennial generation, or at least the regeneration. I'm not going to go there. You get it. I get it. We grew up knowing that we needed to do something about the environment in society. And trying to accumulate the kind of wealth that almost seems required to make the kind of impact we'd like to have on the world is more difficult since we're generally not willing to compromise our scruples. Not for the almighty dollar. But we still need that dollar. So, where do we draw the line? I mean, it's almost impossible to create a product or service that's 100% sustainable, right? I mean, somewhere down the line, we're going to have to need to use a resource or create some kind of an emission. Well, most logical sustainapreneurs believe that as long as your growth strategy has sustainability budgeted in, you're off to a good start. And as long as you're progressively pursuing a sustainable business model and you have the numbers to prove that you're making continual improvements in your impact, most of us would be able to confidently call you a sustainable business or a sustainapreneur. But really, the best thing you can do is to create a business out of fixing some, or even just one, of the many problems in sustainability that our world faces today. One of my most recent clients was starting an e-waste recycling company where she wanted to do everything 100% sustainable. After a while, she realized that she would never even get started if she tried making it 100% from the very get-go. And so she eventually decided to just start her business and tackle sustainability as she goes. So she plans on buying a 1-ton diesel truck so that she can haul more electronics over long distances, at least until she can make enough money to convert it to biodiesel. But in order to get started, she has to do the most efficient thing and the most economic thing first in order to be able to afford to be sustainable. Because sustainable still isn't mainstream. And until it is, we're not going to see it being cheap. And so is it okay to knowingly start a business that you know will destroy the environment and society if you know that, one day I'm going to do something good with it? Of course not. Is Bill kind of a lucky SOB to have had his awakening after surmounting such a vast amount of wealth? Oh yeah. Does his nonprofit make up for the huge problem his company caused over the few decades? No. But let's hope that it eventually will. We can't really look at the past and go, oh, it was done wrong, or it was done the way it was done. We just need to change what we're doing from here on out. And to be quite frank, I'll be giving some of my money to him once I have more to give. So we know it's tough out there, but the bottom line is, and you already knew this, the destruction typically caused by ignorance usually takes way too many generations to fix, or much worse, can never be fixed. So just keep on doing what you believe is right for the information you have at the time, and we'll get it done soon enough. But at least we're beginning to understand that our impact means more to the survival of humanity, and it's not just something to exploit for the sake of progress and for the sake of wealth. And who knows, by the end of all of this, we may have finally evolved to a greater being than just an animal. We may finally be able to call ourselves intelligent, and it be true. That concludes our episode for today. As always, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, share, rate, and subscribe. And we'll see you all again next time on Sustainapreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability.